So we are talking about why parents need support when it comes to tic disorders. A stressed parent feeds a child who is already in a state of fight or flight. You do not realize how much your frustration, fear, and overwhelm is impacting your child. But it really, really is. It doesn't help the situation when mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and everybody are on high alert because they feel lost. They feel like they don't know how to help their child. So yes, a stressed parent feeds a child who is already in a state of fight or flight. If you want to grab the link for the fight or flight video that we did several weeks ago, drop the words fight into the chat and I will make sure that my assistant Moesha gets you guys the link so that you can watch that fight or flight video. She will PM it to you, so make sure to drop the word fight in there. But a stressed parent feeds a child who is already in a state of fight or flight. So today I'm going to break it all down for you. Why do you need to hear from someone who's been in your shoes? Why you don't need another MD, and why having someone hold your hand is going to get you the solutions you are so desperately seeking. Keep in mind, I am a mother who has been in your shoes, and I was in your shoes for a very, very long time. Studies show that at least 50% of parents whose children are diagnosed with chronic illness, yes, tic disorders and Tourette's are considered a chronic illness, experience a sense of loss and grieving. We feel lost. We feel like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong as a parent? Is this my fault? So we also grieve because we're grieving for the fact that what if we can't help our child? What if we can't get our child back on track? This is where mom guilt really starts to take hold. I know this is true for so many of the mothers that we work with. But 50% of parents feel like they have a loss they have loss and grieving when their child is diagnosed with a chronic illness. So, that information is out there. And when you have this loss, this grieving, you don't know how to deal with it. You compartmentalize it. You don't feel like you don't have anybody to talk to. And you feel like you don't have any solutions, especially because the number one person that you trust with your child's health is telling you, ignore it, sweep it under the rug. But really, having someone in your corner who's been in your shoes gives you the ultimate support system, because you can say to them, hey, today we had this crazy raging mood where my child was just off the chart, angry and raging. And we can say, you know what, I've been in your shoes and these are the solutions that we can give you. These are the steps that we can give you to help bring that down and to help get everybody in your house back into this state of calm, so that you can have a calm, peaceful household where your child feels calm and confident in their own body. So having somebody who can hold your hand and give you that support is extremely beneficial to you as a parent, because it helps to ease your anxiety. Remember what I said, that anxiety, that overwhelm, that fear is going to feed your child. So when you can bring it down because you have that support system, it's also going to impact your child. It is going to step down, give them the snowball effect, really give them that sense of calm and support that they need because they're already in this state of fight or flight. So, it really is important to know that you've had someone who's been in your shoes, because that's going to make them more relatable. It's going to make them more compassionate. It's going to make them more understanding to what you are going through. And I can tell you that for me, for the moms who are on my team who've been through the program, they really understand it. We've been there, we've done that, and we know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and we know how to get you there. Dawn says, mine was fear that she was going to struggle with depression, anxiety, and tics for her whole life. And that's a part of it. We all have this fear, this overwhelm. It's scary, it's frustrating, it's overwhelming when our kids are given this diagnosis and we feel like, I don't have any help. I don't have anybody to talk to. That is absolutely, as a parent, how I felt 1000%. And that is why I created this approach, because I wanted somebody to hold my hand. I wanted somebody to walk me through all the steps. I wanted somebody to say, okay, you're going to start here and we're going to take you here. So I want to talk a little bit about why you don't need another MD. I am not a physician, and I will say that a million times. I'm not a physician, and the reason that I am not a physician is because the conventional approach failed us. And when I went back to school and I earned doctorates in holistic nutrition and traditional naturopathy, became a a board certified doctor of natural medicine, it wasn't about, I want to prescribe a medication. It was about, how do we use this natural holistic approach to get people back on track? And it is the only thing that helped my son. And when we use this approach with my clients, we see results over and over and over again. So when you're out in the other groups and people are like, she's not a physician. No, I'm not a physician. I'm going to say it loud and proud. I'm not a physician. And there's a reason why. This is not about bashing physicians or doctors, because we absolutely need them. You have a heart attack, you break an arm, you have appendicitis. You need your physician. Physicians are trained in acute care. They really aren't trained in this chronic long-term care approach. And that's really a big piece of the puzzle, because you now have a child who has this diagnosis that definitely can be chronic, it can be long-term. And so they're not really trained in that type of care. They're really trained in this acute care. And that's why you need somebody who's been in your shoes. That's why you need somebody who can walk you through the approach if you're looking for a natural, holistic approach. Your doctor is really not designed to give you extended support, and he or she may not have been in your shoes. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that all breaks down. So in order to help my son, I needed to turn over new stones, bring in a new approach, and get away from the accepted norm of the medication merry-go-round. I already had an undergraduate degree in science, so I returned to school to build on my prior educational background. My goal was to learn how the body works best as a whole system, rather than the sum of the parts. You know, your gastroenterologist is not talking to your podiatrist, and your podiatrist is not talking to your neurologist, and we're looking at these separate systems when we are looking at the conventional approach. I wanted to know how everything lined up in a holistic natural approach. So I dedicated my time, you know, my son was diagnosed 10 years ago, to studying functional diagnostic nutrition, traditional naturopathy, advanced holistic nutrition, natural medicine, micronutrients, clinical herbalism, advanced holistic nutrition, and became a board certified alternative medical practitioner. And as a result of my studies and a result of my mastery of the whole body system, I've helped so many child reach a baseline of symptom-free living, which, you know, my son really still enjoys today. He's not dealing with these symptoms, all of these things that he had a laundry list of symptoms, to be honest. Excuse me. Not only did he have tics, but he had cyclical vomiting. He had lack of focus. We never went for the ADHD diagnosis, but we would have gotten one. He had a sensory processing disorder diagnosis. He was in occupational therapy for sensory processing disorder. He had tons of food allergies. He had the cyclical vomiting. He had horrible raging mood swings. We had this whole laundry list of symptoms. He had dysgraphia. So, you know, really using this natural approach, looking at his whole body, was what we used to get him back on track. So now, you know, I'm working as a traditional naturopath, bringing that holistic perspective and empirical data together. In my office, I have a different process than your typical MD. Conventional doctors and I have years dedicated to study and our desire to help people, but I address each and every symptom as a piece of a puzzle. They practice medicine. They use an approach where there's a pill for your ill. I use a test, don't guess approach in order to reveal the root causes and behavior issues, anxiety, OCD, tics, and more that are going on with your child. So doctors in medical school are really designed to prescribe a medication. There is what we call this pill for every ill. And what they don't tell you when it comes to medication is most of the medication for tic disorders is prescribed off-label, which means it is an unapproved prescription for an approved drug. So the drug is approved for guanfacine for high blood pressure, but for example, it may not have be approved for tic disorders. So they're using these drugs to reduce symptoms. What you need to know, what I didn't know as a parent, was that when we're prescribed medications, rarely do they reduce symptoms more than 50%. And this is a study out of Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Rarely do medications reduce symptoms more than 50%. And when you actually look at the PubMed studies, especially on things like guanfacine, rarely do they reduce symptoms more than 30%. So the kids and adults who took place in this study, in this guanfacine study, that's a PubMed study, they only reduce symptoms by 30%. Only 30%. So we go in as parents thinking, oh my gosh, we have this magical cure. It's going to get their symptoms to go away. And then for a lot of us, nothing. And then for some of us, maybe we see a little bit of reduction. But they're not telling us, hey, these meds are really only designed to reduce symptoms, not more than 50%. They may not even be designed for tic disorders. They are really designed for things like blood pressure or seizures. We're not told that. We're not given that information. And so we end up on this medication merry-go-round, thinking that we are going to find some magical medication that's going to get our child back on track, that's going to completely get rid of their symptoms. But when you look at the studies, when you look at the data, it's not there. That information is not there because those things are simply there to mask the symptoms, to bring them down. They are not meant to get to the root of what is going on. The other thing with that conventional approach is insurance is very, very restrictive. Most people don't know that your doctor, most doctors, based on their insurance regulations, can spend about 7 minutes with you. Some of them maybe a little bit more, but a lot of them it's 7 minutes. So they can come in, they can see you for 7 minutes, and then they can give you a diagnosis and get you out the door because they have to get somebody else in. If they spend more than 7 minutes with you, they have to give you 2 diagnoses. They have to give you 2 diagnoses for whatever you have going on in order to be able to send that in and get that insurance coverage for you. So when you're looking at that, it's really wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, in and out. We have to get another person in. We're very, very regulated here. We can't just spend hours with you talking about what's going on with your child and how it's impacting their health. We've got to get you in and out. So, that conventional approach, although very necessary for many, many things, when it comes to this chronic stuff that our kids have going on with the tic disorders, the meds and the insurance may not be your magical answer. I can tell you for us, it was not our magical answer. So really, when we are looking at having someone to hold our hand to get those solutions that we are so desperately seeking, I created a roadmap. I spent 10 years creating a roadmap. I spent 10 years creating an approach and a technique to help reduce tic disorder symptoms naturally. And I can't say that there's a lot of people who have been in my shoes who are holding your hand and giving you all the tools to get both their long-term and short-term goals to help get your child back on track. I don't know of many. I don't know if you guys know of many, but I don't know of many. And so it really is important to have somebody in your corner who knows how to help you get access to the tools and resources you need to reduce those tic disorder symptoms naturally. That's why I created the plan. That's why I created the roadmap. There wasn't one. I needed it, and now you guys need it. So, I created comprehensive neuroimmune analysis. We are going to look at 935 different biomarkers. We're going to figure out what's going on under the hood. What is going on with your child? That's really an important piece of the puzzle is if your car's check engine light comes on, you're going to take it to the mechanic and you're going to figure out what's going on under the hood. It's the same with your child. You need to take it to the mechanic to figure out what's going on under the hood. So we're going to look at 935 biomarkers. We're going to take those biomarkers and we are going to use my foundational connection method. We're going to look at all of their health history and we're going to take all of those biomarkers and we're going to take all of their symptoms and we're going to connect it all. It's like putting together a puzzle. You have to have all of these different pieces of the puzzle to put it together. But once we have all of that super valuable information, then you can get long-term and short-term goals that are designed just for your unique individual child. So we're using at that point my restorative rescue strategy to help pull them out of this hole, give you the tools you need to, 1, bring yourself down. Know that you have somebody there that has some answers for you, that can give you some help, that gives you that support, so that you are not in that constant state of fight or flight, which definitely feeds your child. So, we're going to help you get back on track because you're going to have this step-by-step. You're going to know exactly what you need to help get your child these results. So, really when we are looking at the things that impact our child, why parents need support, I see and I know as a parent who didn't have support how important it was for me to have somebody to hold my hand. I didn't, but I had to create that process so that I could hold other people's hands. Why the conventional medicine approach, most of us have tried it. Like, say yes if you've tried it and you feel like it failed you. I can absolutely say that I feel like it failed me. Nobody knows more than me about feeling like conventional medicine failed me. We tried 10 doctors, we tried 8 prescriptions. Our neurologist at one point told me that my son just needed a good spanking. So when we are looking at, I've been in your shoes, I took a different approach. And why it is really so important to have someone hold your hand so that you can get those solutions that you are so desperately seeking. So for me, what I know is that I feel like parents, hands down, if you want to be in that state of I know how to get my kid results, you need to step away, step out of that box that you're in, that conventional thinking box, and really start to look outside that box. Because if you're looking for the natural solutions, you are not going to find them in that box. You have to step out of that box in order to find them. So that being said, I really I feel passionately about helping parents to hold your hand to get your child back on track. It is absolutely my passion, hands down. I would not be here doing what I do if I did not have a passion for it. And I strongly feel that parents whose children are going through this need support. And not only that, your kids need support. I actually have youth advocates on my team, kids who have been through this program, who will actually get on Zoom and get on phone calls with your kids and talk about like what their experience was and where they are now. So I have brought in not only, the knowledge from myself and from my team. I have a pretty big team at this point, but also from the kids who've been in your kids' shoes. And it's really important because then they feel like they have a support system. They don't feel alone, because a lot of these kids don't feel like they know anybody else with tics. They don't feel like they know anybody else that struggles with this. So when we can also give them that support system, it really is key. We can get everybody on board. So that being said, I hope that was helpful information for you today. You can drop the word fight in here to get the copy of the fight or flight video. If you have any questions, definitely drop them in the chat if you're watching the replay. We have tons and tons of free bingeable content on our website. So there's blog posts, there's articles, there's podcasts. You can get your hands on my book. So there's all sorts of things that you can do. I am in the process of wrapping up my tic disorders book. It will be out probably beginning of next year. We are final editing stages at this point, but that will be out and available soon as well. So you can head over to my website, www.regenerating.health. You can book a call there, just hit appointment. You can book a call from here. If you go up to the top, there's a place that says book a call, or you can drop the word call and Moesha will make sure you guys get that link.